Alright guys, in this video I'm talking to Brianna, a Stanford freshman who got in with mostly 2s and 3s on AP exams, went test optional and has 0 national awards. We're going to discuss her stats, extracurriculars, essays, and how she built impactful projects from scratch. And if you keep watching till the end, I'll reveal how she turned her challenges into her biggest advantage and beat out thousands of perfect stat applicants. So if you find any value in this video, please consider subscribing and let's get into the video.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Brianna Jimenez. I'm an incoming freshman at Stanford University. I'm like on the pre-med track. I want to go into medicine. So my intended major is human biology with a concentration in radiology and a minor in Latino studies. I'm from Salinas, California, born and raised. A bit more about my background. I come from a family of parents of immigrants. My grandfather came to the U.S. with the Bracero program. I'm really into reforming Western medicine, making it more culturally responsive. I love biking, learning how to cook because I cannot cook. The most I can do is eggs, oatmeal, salmon. That's it.
Amazing. That's like 2 things more than me. I can only cook eggs, so
Oh, thank you.
you're good in that area. All right. First of all, I want to congratulate you on getting into Stanford. I think it's an amazing achievement. All right, let's get started. So, first of all, like, what was your initial reaction when you got that acceptance letter?
Oh my gosh. So the funny part was that I was sick. Like my voice sounded like I literally you couldn't hear my voice. Even my teacher asked, like, if you get into Stanford, like, how are you gonna scream? I'd be like that's how I was screaming. I was like,
Yeah.
but my friends, like, I still rewatched the video, and I remember when I tried to click on the like view status update, I clicked on it and nothing popped up, like nothing. Like I guess I didn't click on it right, so I clicked it again, and that's when I saw the confetti, and I was just like, it's been my dream school for like since like my junior year because I did a program called Sage, and I was just like so overwhelmed with like happiness. I called my mom. Also, to set the scene, I was outside like Sky Zone, like the jumping park, like trampoline park. And I was in the parking lot in my friend's Jeep. Like my friend was there driving. I was on the passenger, my friend was in the back recording. Like they were all recording me. It was and the windows were down, everyone definitely heard all our screams. But yeah, it was
Yeah, I
such
remember
a
mine as
beautiful
well.
moment.
Like, it's like genuinely like one of the best moments because you feel like, oh, all the hard work paid off. Because like the
Yes,
high school years, they're kind of tough,
definitely.
before you get into school. Makes
Was it
sense.
for NYU or like
Yeah, NYU, and then I did a Dartmouth program as well. That was also full ride this summer. Yeah. All right.
that's cool.
So, like, what specifically drew you to Stanford over other elite schools?
Oh, can you repeat that one more time?
Like, what specifically drew you to Stanford over other elite schools?
I would say Stanford. Well, I think what really stood Stanford out, like in my eyes, was definitely that it was kind of like close to home. For me, that was a huge deal. For me, I just didn't feel like I was ready to go to the East Coast, where a lot of like the Ivy Leagues are. So that was definitely a factor for me, especially considering my grandmother's still here. You know, growing up, I was like her caregiver, so it's a huge deal for me and everything.
Got it.
I would say another factor was that I kind of already have like a small community there. I already know some people there from like a program. And there's also like more upperclassmen that I know, just like networks and things like that, who could kind of like guide me through that too.
Makes sense.
And I think generally I have more support from my family if I stayed like in state, and it was also
Yeah.
much cheaper for me as well. Because I think
Got it.
Stanford like statistically has one of like gives you the best like financial aid. It's like they really do well with matching your income to like your financial.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. So I guess let's talk about yours. First, let's talk about when did you apply? Did you apply early or did you apply regular?
Yeah, I did restrictive early action,
Okay.
but at the time I was thinking about doing Questbridge because I did qualify for Questbridge. But to me it seemed like I just felt like very apprehensive about doing it just because it kind of seemed like you're gambling a little, and I just didn't feel like it would be the best option for me to go like the path. So
Yeah.
instead I decided to do restrictive early action because I just
Got it.
felt like it would make more sense to me, especially at the time. My income was a lot higher than it was like 2022 because we used 2023 taxes. So my teacher said, there's a chance you might not match because they tend to, because it's full ride scholarships.
Yeah.
They look at your needs along with like your application. So it's not just your application, but also like your financial needs.
Got it. Makes sense. Perfect. It's good that you got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's move on to your academics. So, like, what were your stats? I'm talking about GPA and like test scores that got you into Stanford.
Yeah, for sure. So for my GPA, I had a 4.5 GPA, or like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called overall, or what is it called?
Unweighted?
Cumulative? Yeah, no, oh, sorry. Let's restart that. So my weighted, I had to like remember how high school worked for a second.
Okay.
My weighted GPA was a 4.5. My unweighted, I believe, was a 4.0.
Mm-hmm.
For APs, I actually did not really do that good on my AP exams, I know, but I'm not trying to point the finger, but a lot of my AP teachers, that was like their first year ever teaching an AP exam,
Okay.
and the passing rate just definitely wasn't high. Like, let's just
Got
say
it.
there's more people not passing, like not passing than, or like failing than passing, is what I'm trying to
Okay.
tell you. For example, like my AP Euro teacher, he found out he was teaching the class the day before school started. So
That's
that's
insane.
just kind of shitty. Yeah, it's way too
Talk about
late.
preparation.
Yeah, two people only passed that exam. So
It's crazy.
yes,
And like AP is very fast, so if the teachers don't keep up, it cannot happen. Yeah.
yes, we were definitely behind compared to the other schools in my district. But so I definitely knew I had to rely on my extracurriculars, and I think that's where I really, clutched up with. And I think that's probably like the most impressive out of like my entire resume.
Got it.
And I ended up going test optional. I know
Okay.
thankfully like Stanford is was test optional my year. I know this year they're going back to being like
Yeah, a lot of
flexible
the
and test
Ivies
based.
and the big schools, they're going back to tests.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be easier this year just because they're transitioning back to tests. Okay.
Yeah.
Like how many APs did you take? And like let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I took 9 APs. Do
Okay.
you want me to go through them?
No, no, not really. Like what were your, I guess, like what were your results in that?
Like, could you be a little more specific?
Like did you get like all fives on your AP? Like how many fives did you get? How many fours? How many threes?
So, I definitely did not do the best when it came to the AP exams. I got like a 4 or maybe a few threes, but most of them were like probably 2 and below.
Okay.
And that's the truth.
But then your extracurriculars, which we're gonna talk about later, are gonna be insane. All right, you did not take SAT. Perfect. All right, let's talk about your extracurriculars then. I guess like, can you walk us through like a couple of your extracurriculars that you think made admissions officers really take notice?
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the most impressive extracurriculars that I had on my resume
Mm-hmm.
around my application was definitely being part of like this youth crime prevention program at my
Okay.
school. And I was like the lead for 3 years, my sophomore to my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the school's first ever mural. So we talked to like administrators, the district, we got approval for all of that. And we hosted a school chalk art event where we had students from any grade level come out and do chalk art of what they feel like the mural should represent. So we
Okay.
noticed like it was kind of essentially data gathering. It was just a very unique way to do that instead of doing like a survey. But yeah, we noticed a lot of students kind of want what they hoped for the mural was some sort of representation. They
Mm-hmm.
felt like there was kind of like this pre-written narrative that we have this legacy of like working in the field just because that's where a lot of our parents work.
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to like kind of reinforce that like going into the work field instead of like continuing your higher education, especially since there's kind of like this misconception that school is expensive, and it definitely is,
Yep.
especially, but like when you're lower income it tends to be like more affordable, especially if you go to a school like Stanford where they really meet you where you're at. But yeah, we did the school's first ever mural. We had different key figures to represent our Latino community, our Filipino community. So I think that definitely was an impressive part of my application for sure. Another thing, oh, and that was our first, I don't think I mentioned this, but this was our first ever school mural because my school's like
Okay.
relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why it was also like pretty impressive. And I think also like going back to the idea of my school was like kind of new, like it was established in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
was because like I get to put like first this, like I was the first to do this, first to
Yep.
establish this. So I guess that was
Mm-hmm.
also like
Yeah.
a good part of it too. Another one that I think made me stood out was creating my school's first ever like medical like club.
Okay.
we definitely lacked like any type of career readiness, like career exploration, or even like college fairs. Like we honestly didn't have any of that. Like the most we would have is like the military coming in occasionally trying to recruit our students. So I did this program along with one of my peers, and it
Okay.
was called Summer Health Institute, and it was a medical internship at the hospital for 6 weeks during going into our senior year summer. So what is it called? We basically mimicked the structure of the 6 weeks into a club. So they brought guest speakers, we did that too. We
Okay.
basically networked with a bunch of students, asked, oh, do you have any family members in medicine? They're like, oh yeah, my uncle's a doctor. So we brought an internal medicine physician to come speak to us, and he was from all the way to us. So we were, we were really appreciative that he would make the time. Like a lot of these people who are who are doing nursing or even in nursing school, things like that, from our community want to help the community. And I think that's like kind of the commonality of people who tend to leave Salinas. Like
Mm-hmm.
something to, I think, for me to mention to you that's really important to anyone, that I come from like one of the least educated cities in Salinas.
Okay.
There was a time where we were like number one. I think now we're like on the top 10 list. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it is that they're considering degrees, like how many people that are living in Salinas come with or like have a degree, but they don't take in consideration how many people are leaving Salinas for school, like to pursue higher education.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not, it's not a factor, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So we're able to network with a lot of people. We're able to share different resources that a lot of these students didn't know of, because there's not a whole lot of like programs to assist them. Like, oh, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to be A through G like ready,
Yeah.
or this is how many community service you should have, or this is how you do the SAT. There's no SAT prep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Got it. Okay, so I have one follow-up question, then I have like a
Mhm.
couple more. First of all, you mentioned you got like a internship at a hospital.
Mhm.
Like, how did you get that? Because I think a lot of people, and like people in my DMs as well, are asking me like, how do you get these internships?
So yeah, it was a very local internship. I would say if you have a good relationship with the hospital, because I was a guest ambassador, so I helped out in the front office. So it's kind of like finding out like these different opportunities like on the website, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like your director will email you saying, "Oh, we're gonna open up this thing. You should look into it. We would love to have you." But it was definitely competitive because it wasn't just open to my community, but it was open up to like more, I would say like anywhere, which is a good thing. But
Okay.
there's definitely students from like Carmel, from Santa Cruz. I guess like they came from more like established backgrounds for sure.
Okay.
Oh, and I was actually pretty shocked when I got in, was because I didn't have like any like background knowledge besides like AP Bio.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them did like ROP, which is um like background on like doing like your medical assistant, things like that. Like these are courses you can take in high school. So I don't want to say I got lucky, but I for sure like definitely wrote my way in. And I
Makes sense.
guess it was also an advantage that I was volunteer. So if you're interested in that, like anyone who's interested in like doing internships, I would say research as much as you can. Look at local ones for sure. Sometimes you could cold call, maybe ask like the doctor you wanted, like, do you have
Yeah.
anything, you know?
I think for local it would work, but
Hmm.
for like if you're looking at like bigger firms, what has helped a lot of the students as well is like just going on LinkedIn, and there's so much research
Oh,
opportunities if you just look for it. So that could be like a move as well if they're
see, I
looking
did not
for
know
an
that.
internship.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
look into that for sure.
You can definitely ask me around for that. Like, I do LinkedIn so much.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Okay, so you started like a lot of projects in your high school, yeah?
Yes, for sure.
How would you say you built them up from the idea to like significant impact that was impressive for Stanford?
Let me think about that. That's a great question. So, to answer your question, I'm going to say a lot of these ideas or things that I did that were, I guess, really impressive, I feel like it was definitely community based. And I think that's what Stanford really liked.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely tend to take like the leadership role just because I feel like I'm almost like a natural leader when it comes to like these different projects, because I'm just really passionate about it. And I feel like when you're passionate about something, it's very like natural to kind of get into like this role of like, I guess, like leadership. But of course, like with leadership comes with a team. And
Mm-hmm.
I definitely could have not done like
Yeah,
any of that without a team, you know what I mean?
makes sense.
So I
Yeah.
think being like looking like from that point of view and like acknowledging that, I think they tend to see a level of maturity and sense of like you can tell you're humble You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I assume. I have not looked at my, what is it called? Like you can look into your records to see what your admission officer tells about
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Feedback,
can't
yeah.
wait to look at that, but yeah.
Okay, makes sense. All right. Also, like, you've done like a lot of these projects from like scratch. So I guess my question to you would be like, when did you really like start focusing on this college application process, like, specifically extracurriculars? Like, when did you realize you have to do stuff like that?
So I was part of this program called Puente, which helps like first generation low income students. So I applied to that my eighth grade year because it's something you have to do that year. You can't get into it after that. And my cousins did it and they told me to do it. And I don't know, like my cousins, like they know best, I guess. They're my older cousins. They were going to UC Davis. So, and for a while, that was actually my dream school, UC Davis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really good school as well.
Yeah, especially for
Yeah.
medicine. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I would say I've always had this idea of like going to college, especially since the people surrounding me is like kind of this peer effect, you know what I mean? And especially people in that program, they wanted to go to college.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very important for your environment to be like, oh, I'm gonna get into the college. Like, I think that helped me a lot as well because my brothers were applying, my friends, like
Hmm.
all of my group was basically applying abroad as well. So like into Vanderbilt, NYU, Princeton, stuff like that, and it kind of pushes you as well.
Yeah, it's definitely that peer effect for sure.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah.
Um, but we had like these specific like counselors, like we had a specific counselor that we all meet up with, and specific teachers that we'd have throughout the 4 years of high school. So they would always like make sure we're on that path to be like UC ready, private ready. Um, went this more of like a UC school, so they all kind of had this idea of like we all wanted to go to UC low key.
Hmm.
But for sure like they helped out a lot when it came to like writing supplements. Like I could have not done my supplement essays without the help of my teacher. Like he just helped me word them better. He gave me like ideas as well for sure. Oh wait, can you repeat your question? I think I'm going a little sidetracked.
No, 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 it's all good. Like, I asked, like, when did you start realizing you need to step up your extracurricular game?
Definitely say my junior year. My
Mm-hmm.
sophomore year, there wasn't as many opportunities for me, but junior year, that's when I did like I went to DC with a program called Trio, and I did like this mock trial thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I also did Sage at Stanford University. And
Okay.
then I also did kind of this more local one that it was kind of like it was more like local like government
Mm-hmm.
type of activity. So I would definitely say like my junior year, that's when I realized like, okay, I need to actually start doing things.
You need to
And
lock in.
yeah, I need to lock in and I need to do good on all these exams because that's when I was taking like four APs. I went from doing one AP to taking on four APs my junior year because my
Mm-hmm.
freshman year we couldn't take any. My sophomore year one was available for me, and then junior year is when I could actually take like more than one basically. So yeah.
Okay, great. All right. My next question to you would be like, do you think like your activities were like overall very focused, or do you think they were somewhat scattered?
I would say they were somewhat versatile. I did a lot of community service, like cleaning up parks.
Mm-hmm.
I did community service at a soccer complex. I did a lot of like translation, like Spanish to English, English to Spanish type of deal. What else? I did like hospital, like I mentioned previously. I was a guest ambassador. What else did I do? I was really involved with clubs as well, and I got a lot of community service
Okay.
for that. I was part of Japanese National Honor Society, so I got a lot of community service from that. Also track,
Yeah.
off season, like for like middle schools and things like that. I get a lot of community service. But yeah, and also like I think I kind of more like emphasized the ones I really was more like leaning towards like medicine. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I kind of emphasized that more than maybe like hosting a track meet at my school
Okay, makes
for
sense.
middle
Okay, so
school.
you rank them based on that.
Yeah, definitely. Like for
Okay.
me, what I thought was the most important to least important.
Okay, okay, definitely makes sense. All right, I have like a lot of students in my DMs, and they're really worried about one thing.
Yeah.
Most of them have somewhat scattered activities, you know?
Hmm.
So, and you had varied interests as well. So, like, how did you make sure that all of your activities put forward a consistent narrative?
Well, I would say that it definitely had to do a lot with like the youth. Me, I talked about how I saw a lot of like in like a lot of my inspiration came from the youth and the potential that we have that a lot of times like adults don't see from us.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like a lot of the time I worked with um like as a mentor for a lot of people. Like I said, like working, doing track, like giving the little, like middle schoolers advice, like, oh, this is like how you want to improve your 100, your 200, or even like in my Puente program, I was president and I would be giving like resources to the underclassmen. So I feel like it all, for me, it really all had to do with community and helping others, like paying it forward, you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. All
So
right.
essentially, like, find something that they all have in common. Like if you're working with the youth, like all of them, do that. If you're like translating or something, talk about that. You know what I mean?
Okay. I think this will be really helpful for people who are like really worrying about this stuff, especially because ED is in like less than 2 months. No.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
I
been a
try to
year
block
already.
out. It's a lot of trauma for me.
Yeah. I
I
remember
got
most of
so
the time.
sick. I got so sick. I had to go to the
Yeah.
ER during
No. Yeah.
winter break. I had neglected my health. And
Yeah.
anyone who's like applying to college, please take care of your mental health. Take care of your well-being. Drink water, eat. Because it's so easy to forget that because you're just so like focused on your college applications and just
Yeah.
wanting to get into your dream school that you could just be neglecting yourself. Trust me, you do not want to end up at the ER on Christmas Day. You want to
That's
spend it with your family, guys. Trust me. Trust me. You did not want Santa Claus to be your doctor, bro.
yeah. Yeah, no, I remember like I think my mind just blocked out that part of my life, you know? Like I don't even remember what was happening.
Yeah, it was such a tough time. I feel like people don't really talk about that enough.
So I guess like my next question to you would be, how do you quantify impact when your numbers aren't like huge? Like what if like you don't have like a million members? Because some of these people like have crazy numbers. I'm sure you're gonna meet some crazy Stanford students as well.
For sure. Can you kind of like say your question again?
Yeah, yeah. Like how do you quantify impact when your numbers aren't huge?
Okay, so I would say how I quantified my impact was kind of talk like giving them the background knowledge of like why this is important. Like, and especially when you think about it, people, what I did, you need to consider that I'm a student. I'm the
Yeah.
student doing what these teachers should be doing or what people from outside programs should be doing
Yeah.
for us. And I think that's what really like got to them. It's like, wow, like she's using what she knows for the better, you know? She doesn't just want to use it for herself. She doesn't want to be greedy. She wants to help others, you know? It's
Yeah.
like this one, you know, Tupac? He
Yeah.
has this, he made this poem. He's like, talks about roses that grow from concrete. And essentially, I talked about that. I was like, I don't want to be a rose that grew from concrete. I want to be able to help the others, you know, who are still stuck down there, you know, grow with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Uh, you did like a lot of community service as well. That's what I'm getting from your. Yeah.
Yes, I did 700 and like 720 community service hours.
That's I think that's around the same hours I played Overwatch or something.
I think when you lack like different resources or like I guess like how you would say like numbers or things like that, you really need
hmm
to find another specialty to clutch up in. And for me,
Yeah.
I just like I genuinely like I keep talking about community, I keep talking about paying it forward because I just love it so much. And I
hmm
think with that 720 hours I had, that definitely like solidified like the truth, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. All right. I guess my next question would be like a lot of people they're trying to do community service as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess how do you make it feel authentic and impressive at the same time? Because like when you're trying to craft an application, you have to like craft it in like a different way, but like it cannot be in unauthentic. So like how did you do that in your application, I guess?
It definitely took a lot of rewriting and a lot of different drafts. I
Mm-hmm.
remember telling my one of my mentors that literally I can make the most impressive thing sound so basic and normal. And I remember her looking at me and be like, "Oh, we need to fix that." But I would say like use a lot of like rhetoric. I genuinely like you have to like orchestrate like your writing in a certain way that it's true. You know what I mean? You can
Yep.
definitely make your words sound powerful. Let's say that, I don't know, like I was helping at, you know, I was doing hours at the library. How can I make that sound powerful? You find little like moments that stand out, you know? Or like I was a tutor. I talked about being a tutor. Here's an example. I was a tutor but I can change that to I was helping students who weren't going to graduate stay on the path to graduation, like graduate in the next few months. You know what I mean? Graduate on
Yeah,
time with
yeah,
their peers. Or
yeah.
I was like a tutor, but I was a bilingual tutor. So I was, helping students like in math, but like using Spanish or, if you're using any other language to communicate, talk about that, find the little
Yeah,
things that I guess aren't normal
yeah,
or something.
like
Yeah.
nuance, and I think
Yeah,
that
no.
only you can only do that like if you've actually done the community service. A lot of people they're just like trying to inflate their numbers and stuff, but
Really?
it's like so easy for admissions officers to see if it's fake or
Mm-hmm.
unauthentic.
So I guess
And
my
yeah,
advice is that if you're doing that just to like inflate your numbers, then it's just not gonna
I
sound good.
yeah,
It's not gonna be genuine, and they're gonna admission officers aren't dumb. Like they'll know
yeah.
that you really didn't do anything.
Yeah, and they'll get like a million applications. They know what's real and what's not.
That's why I say do things you're genuinely passionate about.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like find your ikigai, like find things, like find your purpose, find your reason.
yeah, for sure. Moving on, let's talk about your awards and honors. So, how strong do you think your awards and honors section was? Did you feel competitive in that area?
I would say like compared to like other Stanford students who have had like more like greater awards, probably not. I would say I did get Questbridge, so I was a Questbridge finalist, so I did talk about that. Another thing. Wait, can I look, you don't remember. Can I look real quick?
Yeah, 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 for sure. Take your time.
Yeah, I have it right here. Because you can just edit it out, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Because
Uh,
I don't
I mean,
wanna.
I
I
don't like
honestly don't
editing at
remember.
all. I think this gives us more personality. It's like actually talking to the student.
Yeah, because I genuinely do not remember. Like the trauma is real.
Real. I don't think I remember any activity or awards generally. Like only like the most impactful ones. I think.
Also, I don't mind reading like any specific thing from my application. Even if it's like the Stanford one, I don't mind like genuinely
Okay.
reading
For
anything.
sure, that would be really helpful.
I think I would love to read my roommate essay. I think that's like the most interesting one I had wrote.
Perfect.
Let me look at my, okay, I'm logged in, my activities. Let me see what I have here. Or no, you asked for my awards. Have you started school already?
Yeah, yeah. Started on September September 2nd, I think.
So you've been there for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
It's okay. I think it's out of 10. I only had 5 awards. Okay, now I remember. I remember now. How do I reopen this? Okay. So back to your question about if I thought my awards were like
And honors.
competitive,
Yeah.
or honors. I would definitely say that it sure wasn't like the strongest, but I had something. I had 5 out of the 10. I had Questbridge Prep Scholar. I put Questbridge Finalist. And then
Mm-hmm.
I put like 3 other like small like school awards, but it was definitely like not like a whole lot.
Okay, okay, makes sense. Earlier in the podcast, you also mentioned something about your grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, did you include any personal or family responsibilities on your application?
For sure, I did talk about being a caregiver, and that
Mm-hmm.
was actually part of my essay. For the longest time, or like for most of like my youth, I was a caregiver for my grandfather specifically because he had a lot of health complications. He worked in the
Okay.
field, so he was exposed to pesticides, always hunched over all the time. And he was just essentially like exploited.
Mm-hmm.
So he had 2 different types of cancers. He was disabled. He couldn't walk. So I talked about how like that essentially sparked my passion for medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, my grandmother. What was your question? Oh, if I had mentioned, yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
talked about being my grandmother's caregiver and how that kind of impacts my ability to like do what I can like outside of the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
There's definitely limitations when it comes to being a caregiver for sure.
Makes sense. Like, I guess my next question to you would be a lot of people tend to share their personal challenges,
Mm-hmm.
but like, how do you do it without making it seem like you're looking for pity?
Yeah,
Like, that's one of the questions I get a lot as well.
I'd say use it more as a personal growth, like how that impacted you in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of for the better, not like it hurt me so much. Like this is what I was
Yeah.
going through, more of like how that made you flourish for sure.
Okay.
Like you want to be more
Yeah.
optimistic than negative because that'll
Okay.
be the vibe of your whole essay or like whatever you write. If you write negative, your admissions officer is gonna feel the sense of like negativity, like you said, like pity. It's like
Yeah.
they're not really learning anything if you're just trauma dumping. But
Yeah.
you want to use that as a moment of growth for sure.
Okay. Makes sense. I think this will be really helpful for people who are like looking to write about that part of their life. All right, moving on. Let's talk about your essays. So, I guess like how did you write a compelling essay? Like, what was the process?
So the process for me, let me look at this real quick. The process for me, I started off with QuestBridge, as I had mentioned earlier. And part of QuestBridge, there's this 800-word essay that's part of the application.
Yeah.
So what I essentially did was I recycled my Common App essay I recycled my QuestBridge essay to make it my Common App essay. Because it fit the prompt perfectly, the first prompt about something that's, that you need to talk about that ties into your identity, your talent. And I think it required a lot of definitely rewrote that essay a few times. I would say it could be really difficult when you ask like a lot of people for advice. I would say stick with one or maybe even two people. Actually, I would say one, maybe another person to kind of like read it, see if it like makes sense, and this other person, like this other teacher maybe, to like kind of help you formulate what you want to say. Because at the time, I had an idea of what I wanted to write, but it just wasn't it wasn't cohesive. Like it just wasn't flowing the way it should flow.
Yeah.
And I think my essay definitely had some sort of formula, like learning about my past, how that impacted me, the reason I guess it was very impactful. Okay. So the flow of the formula of my essay was like about my past, and then kind of like community and how that's impacted me, and then I also talk about like how my past has made me want to do medicine and like I guess help and like medicine, and then like more of community, like back against the community of like coming back to my community, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I could show you, but
Uh-huh.
it kind of goes a little everywhere because I have a lot of interests, but it all has to do with medicine and like public health. So
Okay.
I definitely got to nerd out for sure. Definitely choose something you can nerd out, but that they can see who you are and like get to know a lot about you, like a lot of anecdotes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. And that helps make it more personal as well.
Exactly.
Could you read like your favorite part of your essay? That would be amazing.
My comment app?
Yep.
Okay. Yes. More than happy to. I spent so long doing that. Not just for one time. Let me see. I have to go on my Google Docs. Did you apply early for NYU?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. I think I was really proud of this. The word hospital is associated with healing, care, vulnerability. Yet in my community, the word hospital is perceived as terror, disrespect, cruel. In my first generation agricultural city, we outsourced our doctors. I saw this in my ambassador role firsthand, where there were several doctors who don't understand our background, who don't speak our language, who don't respect our needs. From the passing of the Eugenics Acts to the overturn of Roe v. Wade, there has been this pattern of disrespect, lack of compassion, and dehumanization in healthcare, especially for BIPOC women. In Salinas, we are treated as if we don't know what we are talking about, as if we could not feel our own pain, inherited fear of the ones in the white coat. When the doctor wanted to discharge Abuelo, to let him pass away at home because he was using too much of the hospital's resources, they were robbing 2 extra years of memories with him. I realized this was my purpose, to advocate for the people in my community, so that we are humanized rather than creatures wasting resources. Growing up, I thought my experience with Abuelo was unique through reading, storytelling, and learning. I understand that my experience is a common narrative in nearly every BIPOC community. Now I'm 17 years old, and I see myself in an innovative coat, creating solutions to permanently fertilize Salinas' soil. Just as Abuelo used his hands as a way to escape from the violence and poverty of his country, I too use my hands to hold pen and pencil, advocating for redirection in my community. That was like the ending of my essay.
I think it's genuinely one of the best essays I've listened to, for sure. I think, yeah, because it's very true and it's very authentic, and like you cannot fake this.
No.
Nowadays, like a lot of students, what they're trying to do is like trying to emulate this, and what I get is like a ChatGPT made stuff, you know, and it's so easy, but to like see that, and yeah.
Yeah. They're true and real struggles for sure.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Okay, let's talk about your supplemental essays for Stanford. I guess which Stanford supplemental essay was the most challenging to write for you?
I would say the most challenging one was for sure virtually all Stanford's undergraduates live on campus. Oh no, 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 no. Wait, wrong one. I'm so sorry. The most challenging one would be please describe what aspects of your life experiences, interests, and character would help you make a distinctive contribution as an undergraduate to Stanford University. And I would say I had a hard time writing this just because at the time I didn't really know what to write about.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, I remember like finalizing this last supplement of my application like before the deadline. Like I was very like unsure about it. Like I wasn't as confident as I was for my two
Mm-hmm.
essays for the application, but I would say what helped me was just being like genuine, really just being raw and being vulnerable. For me, that's always kind of been like an issue, being vulnerable. And I talked about kind of being ashamed of being Mexican, which was very hard to admit. Growing up, I received a lot of like linguistic terrorism from my teachers. I grew up speaking Spanish only because that's what I only knew growing
Mm-hmm.
up. So it was definitely a hard transition, and it was I think hard for my teachers to understand that I'm not where other kids are at because I have this like language barrier. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep, yep.
And I just think it made me despise being Mexican and speaking Spanish, that it resulted to me losing my ability to speak my native language. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's not even my native language, it's the language my colonizers, like my
yep.
ancestors colonizers, you know? It's like basically like linguistic terrorism.
I wrote something very similar for my essay as well. It was about culture and languages. So I wrote about
Mm-hmm.
my own language, which was Urdu. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
totally understand. All right, moving on. Oh yeah, you said you were gonna read your roommate essay, so let's hear that.
Yes. So this was my roommate essay. Let me see. So this is what I wrote. Hi, future roomie. You may notice me braiding my hair to perfection, separating it into three strands. Intertwining it in an interlocking pattern comes natural to me. When my hair is in a braid, I am wearing my ancestors' Puripachap pride. My hair is sacred to my culture. It speaks my identity, representing my indigenous resilience. Demanding Mama to tell me the Aztec love story of the warrior Popocatépetl and Princess Itzasiwa, for the 11th time as she untangles what feels like the endless knots in my hair. The tragic love story will always make me shed a tear. One day, my mom will tell me the story for the 100th time in Mexico, in front of their bodies transformed into a volcan, symbolic representation of their internal love. Styling my hair is the core of my roots, but when it comes to accessories, I get to customize who I am. When my hair is in a bun tied by a gray scrunchie, headphones on, I am an academic weapon, setting to Red Garland, juxtaposed to Robert Glasper, can't forget a little Mozart. When my hair is in a slick back, double braided ponytail tied with an orange bow, I am a track star running the 4x4, pushing through the lactic acid to semifinals. Or when my hair is held up by a pink hibiscus claw clip, I am a scrapbooker documenting our first trip to the city together. If you ever need a personal hairstylist or to borrow accessories, I'm only a few feet away.
Very
That's what I
fun.
wrote.
I think there's a lot of nuance in your essay. That's what I'm hearing. Very detailed. Yeah, I think this will be really helpful for people who are just brainstorming what to write about and how to write about the Stanford roommate essay for sure.
Yeah, I definitely
Uh,
use the motif of my hair for sure.
yeah.
Because my teacher actually gave me this idea like yes you hold a lot of identity with your hair, it's
Hmm.
very cultural sacred, but you also get to use it to show more of who you are, you know, it's part of your identity, not just your history as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, even talking to people helps a lot, I would say that.
Hmm.
But also know when you don't want to use their advice. I think that was the really hard part for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't say no. I remember one of my teachers telling me that, oh, maybe you shouldn't mention that. And then I talked to my other teacher saying, like, with a
Yeah.
conflicting idea. And then you have to, like, pick between them, but it's ultimately what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's your story, it's your application. They're not going to be accepting your teachers, and they're not going to be accepting your friend, they're accepting you
I think
for
the
yourself.
only advice works is like you get very little help from someone who knows you from like the bottom up. Like they know everything about you. So they won't be able to tarnish your real self that much. Because
Yes.
a lot of the people who we tend to ask when like they don't know us that deep. So and it can like make the application slightly inauthentic. Plus there's like
Yeah.
so much outside noise right now as well over the Instagram and everything.
Hmm.
All right, let's talk about your recommendation letters.
Oh, yes.
Because like
Recommendation letters are a huge deal. You need
yeah.
to ask, especially if your school, like everyone's like competitive in your year, you're gonna want to get like those letters like in by summer, you know what I mean? Like ask your teachers as soon as you can. Make it formal, write a letter asking, provide them your brag sheet so they have an idea. Tell them what school specifically you're applying to so they can
Mm-hmm.
kind of like curate it for that, you know?
Okay,
Be
I think
strategic.
you answered all of my questions, which I was gonna ask. So that's great. We
Oh,
can move on. We can move on to mentorship. How important do you think advice from seniors was? Did you get any help during your application process?
for sure. I got so much help. I got help from UCLA students, Stanford students, Harvard students. And it
Mm-hmm.
really has to do with this network I get from my program Puente.
Mm-hmm.
My teacher connected me with all these students. And I think specifically my Harvard mentor helped me a lot when it came to my Quest Bridge because she also did Quest Bridge, didn't end up, going through that. But it was like part of her college application cycle season. And then my UCLA student helped me when it came to like writing my PIQs. My Stanford mentors helped me when it came to my application, giving me more ideas, you could also write about environmental racism because we live in a city surrounded by fields. That is environmental racism. And that's like something I didn't even know of, you know? For me, like growing up, you always think everything is normal until you leave and you realize it's not normal, where we live in an underserved minority community.
Okay, and like, what resources do you think were the most valuable to you during this application process?
I would definitely say mentors
Mm-hmm.
and having their feedback, and because there's if I'm applying to Stanford, I that Stanford student's gonna know
Yeah.
like how to write it because they obviously were accepted to Stanford, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think being strategic again, like with who you're asking for help and specifically for what application. I know if it's something like USC, I definitely like didn't need any help, but there was also this PIQ and private folder with supplements that my teacher provided the class, where we
Mm-hmm.
kind of looked for inspiration. We read through how a USC application looks, how a Stanford application looks, how a Harvard application looks,
Yeah.
to kind of see what these admissions officers are looking for, you know? They're obviously accepted for a reason.
Yeah, this is like one of my goals as well, to like talk to a lot of these students and publish it online for free because I feel like that would have helped me a lot as well. Because right
Mm,
now, a lot of people, what they're doing is they're doing like a lot of fear mongering and stuff like that. You know, in like
mm,
30-second videos, they just scare the students. It's not
exactly.
a lot of nuance, and it's not coming from the students who actually got in. Yeah.
Exactly. You want to get into
Uh,
Stanford, you know?
And then yeah, and then I have like a small community with all of the students, which is also free, which is basically like if they have any questions, and they're like it's like they have all the peers as well. So I'm trying to emulate that what I got with my friends.
Yes.
So yeah,
And
that's
you know
the.
what you should start? You should start making a network map.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially like this map and you get to like add coordinates of like where these people are in different schools. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's also building your own network when you think about it as
Yeah.
well. Because you're meeting with all
Yeah.
these different people.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have this whole map of, oh yeah, she's at Stanford. Oh, this person's at Harvard. Oh, this person's at Dartmouth studying
Mm-hmm.
this. And then later, when they're actually done with the professions, you'll have an
Yeah.
established, I don't know, doctor, you'll have
Network.
an established
Yeah.
lawyer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what my teacher
Yeah.
did. And like, you should see his map. It's like everywhere.
I should get into that like actually because I've been talking to a lot of like really impressive people and that would help a lot. Yeah, in future.
Yes, yes.
Moving on, let's talk about advice for students who feel behind. What would you tell a junior who feels like, oh, I've wasted the first 2 years of high school?
I think if you're a junior and you're kind of thinking, wow, I wasted so much time, girl, you're okay. Like, I feel like there's always this pressure. And I don't know, I feel like time moves a lot faster than it actually does
Mm-hmm.
when you're like always thinking about college. Like, you always think you're behind and you're behind. But at least you didn't think about it your senior year when it's actually like low key a little too late. I know my senior year, that's when I established medical club I told you about, but like to do anything more than that can be really difficult. So
Yeah.
I think if you feel like you're behind, just research, network, talk to people who you feel like already have that, you know what I mean? Who already
Yeah.
did programs that I don't know, you heard of or clubs or just get there, get out there. You need to have the sense of confidence
Mm-hmm.
and this hunger for to do more. If you have that
Yeah.
hunger, you're already at a good place for sure.
Makes sense, right? And like, there's a lot of like this is a question that I get asked a lot as well. Like, is it really possible to build like an impressive profile, like starting in junior year? And like, if you were in that situation, like, how would you go around?
I would say, my junior year is definitely when I did most of like my impressive things.
Mm-hmm.
I think your senior year, you could probably do some things like, I guess, establish a club, you can probably create like this book. I know a student in my class created this book that made to help like ELD students. So there's like slang, English slang translated to like
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, like how to help them communicate more with their fellow
Yeah.
peers. So there's definitely like things you can do. Kind of look for more niche things that aren't like very like, I guess, cliche is what you
Mm-hmm.
can say. I guess you can call them passion projects. Like, that's a passion project, creating a book for ELD students to help them,
Yeah.
or even like creating a medical group. But it can be really hard when you're on a clock for sure. But I would say use what you can and just write about it, you know?
Yeah. And I think that, like, and documenting is very important as well. So you can
Yeah,
just
like
show them the
documenting
proof.
what
Yeah.
you're doing. For sure,
All
for
right.
sure.
What do you think are the most impactful things someone can do with limited time?
Limited time. Impactful. I mean, an example could be starting, huh, impactful thing. Can you give me like an example? Like, what do you think?
What do I think? I think
Mm-hmm.
the most impactful thing you can do with a limited time is like just see what you're interested in and what you
Mm-hmm.
already have like a lot of experience in and do something with that because it's going to be really hard to do something that's on paper sounds really good,
Yeah.
but you have to just learn all the basics and everything from the start. And it's just going to be not good for you. I think just
Yeah.
do what you're like already doing and make it into like a club or something, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like a business maybe, something like that.
Yeah. I know some people started like a small business their senior year. Not trying to say like for college, but I know this one student started selling clothes that they would thrift and kind of like resell it.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we'd host like events, we would invite a bunch of small local small businesses to come and sell like but specifically at school, like small business owners at school. So we'd have people selling baked goods, trinkets, clothes, and it was also like helps them because like they're profiting off of it as well too, and they're making some
Mm-hmm.
money compared to like, I don't know,
Yeah,
finding it hard to find events out there.
for sure. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about competing with perfect stats. I think that's a very common question as well. I
Competing with
mean,
perfect stats.
like, I guess, like, what do you think differentiated you? Because, like, obviously, Stanford gets millions of applicants with perfect stats.
I mean, you can definitely look at my application and not see, you know, the perfect ideal Stanford student.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what I had, what a lot of them didn't have, was all these students come from, like, they kind of have it all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're from an affluent community. They come from a school that's been established for, you know, a long time, you know, well, like, you know, good teachers. The truth is that I didn't have that. And I talked about that. I was honest. I was like, yeah, I had a teacher who harassed me constantly my senior year, you know? Like, and I, you know, spoke up about it and I received retaliation from that. Like, I was being authentic, I was being myself, and I showed them that I wasn't afraid to be who I am. Like, I wasn't afraid to speak up for what I thought was right. I wasn't afraid to, you know, take on a leadership position. I wasn't afraid to start something that I didn't already have at school. Like, I was essentially a trailblazer, and I think that's what they're looking for. Someone to create, like, someone to, like, take nothing to, like, something, like, that's never
Mm-hmm.
been known, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I have a lot of hunger. I have that immigrant hunger to do more than my grandparents, to do more for my parents, like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what has gotten me to this point. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
not
For sure. Yeah.
DEI. I think a lot of people who come from, you know, I guess a more privileged background, if they were put in my position, I don't think a lot of them would thrive. I think they could be a product of my, like, they'd be a product of the environment. You know what I mean? There's a lot of gang violence. I talked about that. I talked about how a good friend was shot, like, at a park that's like right in front of my house. Like a family friend was shot there. Like I talked about how I could have been anything. I could have been this, I could have been that. I could have been part of my environment, but I chose not to, you know? I chose
Mm-hmm.
to help it. I chose a different narrative, you know?
Makes sense.
I chose to do my own legacy. To blaze my own trail. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting from your application as well. Like it's very unique in that sense. It's not
Yeah.
typical. Oh, I have the 1600 SAT. I've got like 18 APs. Stuff like that. It's just
And
who
I
you are.
told them we had integrated math, integrated science. We had something called NGS, New Generation Science, that was only in 2 schools in the US. You know what I mean? Because it just wasn't effective, and my school didn't realize that. So, and like, I told them how I wanted to take a chemistry class. But the thing is that that chemistry class that was offered for seniors became a sophomore class because our curriculum was messed up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I told them all the systemic inequities in education, and I told them how, through this book, there's this great author named Kozel. There's this book called Savage Inequalities, and he talks about systemic issues, especially in education. And I talked about how, from reading that, I learned that my experiences in Salinas isn't normal. It's the effects of systemic inequities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was that consciousness and that realization that really stood me out. And then I think also on top of that was, doing things to make my community better that a lot of, not even adults or a lot of like politicians in my community are even doing themselves. Like even
Yeah.
coming up with future ideas, like if we made my school a community school, middle schoolers or, anyone from the community can go to the high school and use the library, use the gym, use the track, because it'd be open up for the public. And there's also this thing where there's a lot of in the Monterey County, where I'm, like my county, we have a food disparity. We're food insecure, and actually, that was something I talked about in my application as well, and how if we became a community school, we could actually bring mobile clinics, and which are free, to help out, people who don't have that, privilege to get checked out at the hospital because of cost, status, or even because of language barrier, since that's often like an issue here.
Makes sense. Yeah. All right. I guess like my next question to you would be, it's kind of a follow-up, kind of not a follow-up. But let's talk about that. Did you ever fall into like a comparison trap with all of these other students, with, like much more resources and stuff like that?
No, I would say no because it's not something I really thought of, if I'm being honest. I didn't think, oh, I'm competing with someone who made like a hand robot for Parkinson
Yeah.
or something like that. You know what I mean? Or
Like
someone,
some people are actually crazy. Like I was with
yeah, some
the
people, yeah, they're like
9x
true
national
scientists.
champion. Yeah.
Exactly, or like a like math Olympian. I was like, we didn't even have a math club or anything like that, you know? A lot of
Yeah.
students in my school, like, once their math requirement was done, they wouldn't take an extra year. You know what I mean? Or there was like only one calculus class. BC wasn't even provided at my school. There's only AB, and my class was less than 30 students, honestly. And it was only one class that whole senior year.
Got it. Yeah.
So it just never got to my head because I honestly wasn't really aware of it. I didn't know all these people were doing all these things until after I got into Stanford, and I was like getting like LinkedIn requests from like these super cracked
Yeah.
Stanford incoming 2029 people, and I was like, oh wow, like I must be an exception, but the truth is that I'm not, like I'm here, like we ended up at the same spot, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
for a reason.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Looking forward, what are you most excited about as you head to Stanford?
I would definitely say fulfilling my intellectual curiosities. Like, I'm taking this intro seminar of polio and ethics, and I was like so happy when I got into it because intro sems tend to be really competitive at Stanford because you have to apply to them. So I'm
Yeah.
happy my professor liked my application.
That's great.
And there was an issue, like a conflict schedule, but I ended up dropping that class so I can take this intro sem. Because I'm just like so passionate about like these different like diseases, especially polio, where it's so prevalent in different communities. I think in the course description it said like Pakistan and these different places, and I was like, wow, like I didn't know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think my grandfather had polio too. My mom was telling me, so I get to learn more about that.
Amazing. All right. It was great talking to you. I think this is going to be immensely helpful for people.
I hope.
We're
I
just
hope.
looking to apply. I know for sure it would be really helpful for me if I was applying as well.
Aw, that's sweet.
Yeah. So like I guess my last question to you would be like do you have any final thoughts for students who are just starting their college application journey?
For sure, for sure. If I could give advice to my younger self, I would tell her to trust the process. It's really easy to like to break down, be like, my essay's not good enough, they're not going to accept me, this and that. But just know that with patience, with hard work, I'm going to tell you this. I spent 44 hours writing my Stanford supplement, like all of them. Like on my Google Doc, it says 44 hours, like of active writing time. So it's hard work for sure, you know, but you can do this. Don't see, I don't come from the best background, you know, I'm not from an affluent community. I've been in the trenches for sure, but I made it this far and I made it to even more elite schools. So just know that you're your ancestors' wildest dreams, that you can do this and you can do this.
You can do this. Thank you so much for your time. It was amazing talking to you again. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I think all of the listeners who are listening to this are going to appreciate it so much as well.